The City of London wanted Trump to attack Iran back in 2019. They were trying to get the US into a war with Iran. This time round, the City of London doesn't support Trump's war in Iran. Why? Because he knows their tricks and he's out to break the back of the British Empire. That's what we're going to talk about in this clip.
The whole Zionist project is the project of the City of London. And the one big threat that they're facing is exactly Iran. And so in 2019, when they wanted Trump to go to war against Iran, the pressure came from the British embassy,
Right.
not from Netanyahu, from the
No, no,
British embassy.
yes.
So why would they want Trump to go and destroy their ally? If IRGC were their ally, why would the British try to get Trump to do it, and then Netanyahu tries to get the Trump to do it?
Because
Uh,
the question is, and this is, I can answer that question pretty obviously. I think with the rise, see, with the rise of the BRICS, you have Trump in the White House, right? And Trump is no fan. Let's put a couple of things on the table, a couple of constants on the table. Trump and City of London are not. They don't see eye to eye. Like
No.
Trump is clearly trying to. So with Trump in the White House, now everything changes. You've got Iran eventually has to be dealt with because Iran is sliding into Russia and China's orbit, right? How many times did I say for years that the I in BRICS wasn't India but Iran? How many times did I say that back in 2020, 2019, 2021, right? And I've always viewed the BRICS as an antipode to a Western alliance where the G7, including the United States, versus the BRICS. BRICS makes perfect sense in that scenario. If the United States is aligned with the rest of that situation, right? Then if it's the collective West versus the BRICS, BRICS makes sense. Iran's in that position. The Russians look at the Iranians as they're needed, old world, north-south, international north-south transport corridor, all the stuff we talked about before, Belt and Road for the Chinese, yada, 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 and the oil flows and all of that stuff. Why would the British want Trump to go to war with Iran? Because in 2019, we would have lost that war. That's why. The British were trying to get us involved in a war. They've been trying to get us involved in a war that we can't win for 15 years now.
Oh,
They
longer
tried to get
than
us into
that.
a war.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, just let's in modern history. So why would they tried to get us involved with Russia over Ukraine, right? They tried to get us. They've been trying to get us into a war with the Chinese over Taiwan. Why wouldn't they want the United States to fight a war against Iran? Because the British do not care about burning an asset to the ground if they can get that if they can get a secondary benefit that's larger than the asset they burned. If they can burn a smaller asset like Iran, look at a certain level, even if you don't buy the whole package. And again, the Iranian City of London connection doesn't even have to be anything more than they have mutual interests. Like the money flow into Iran and through Iran, or cultivate allowing Iran to do what to run its strategy, which is then creates the internal conflict between them and Israel, keeping the entire area under chaos, keeping oil volatility higher, because we go back to 2019 and oil volatility has done nothing but explode over the last 7 or 8 years. That serves the British purposes, even if there's not an explicit, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. We all work together. They don't even have to. It's just all you have to have is setting the table to position to maneuver them into doing the things you want them to do. And Iran pursuing a nuclear weapon, and the JCPOA being the thing that everybody's all upset about. Like it all makes perfect sense to me at a certain level. That I've been like, why would Iran do this, knowing full well that the United States would eventually have to deal with them? The Israelis or the United States would deal with, Iran not having a nuclear weapon. Why do they keep doing this? Why do they keep enriching uranium? Why do they keep doing? Why? All you're doing is inviting somebody to get angry with you. Why not negotiate a different architecture? And somehow we never seem to get there. And again, so
Well, but
from my
to be
perspective,
fair, Tom,
right? And I wanted
Gaddafi
for years
tried
I want.
that. It didn't work so well for him, and Kim Jong-un did the opposite and worked out much better for him. So,
It did, and but also notice that Kim Jong Un, that the first thing Trump wanted to do in his first term was make peace with Kim Jong Un.
sure, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he wants to just, again. I operate under the premise that what Trump is trying to do is do away with this whole nuclear blackmail scenario. So,
Yeah,
um,
he's anti-nuclear weapon. Alex, Tom, if I can come in, right? So this is the argument about get the red ants and the black ants fighting together, right? By manipulating the
Yeah.
black ants and then
mhm.
manipulating the red ants. Well, what if it's black ants is Israel, which Britain is manipulating, but the Iranians are fiery ants. They're fire ants. They don't need anybody. They'll go and fight the black ants anyway because they're that kind of ant. And then there's a few other tales like how Britain isn't getting involved in attacking Iran. There's the JCPOA, which would have subsumed Iran oil profits into the City of London. There's the IRGC, which is not a proscribed organization, terrorist organization in the UK, unlike Hamas and Hezbollah and Palestine Action. There's the money flows that go through the City of London and City of London connected banks and how they've been laundering IRGC money and how IRGC is connected with the drugs trade, which goes through South America and Venezuela and Mexico. So there's
it
all these pointers, right? And it's a
Hold
little
on,
bit.
hold on, hold on. What did you say about the drugs trade?
The IRGC is involved in the drugs trade.
How do you
It's
know that?
laundering money.
Where'd you get that from?
Well, the Iran Contra affair, the CIA was selling arms to Iran from laundered drug money. Well, they were
Yeah, but
selling
that was
arms, right?
CIA.
The CIA, that was the Iran Contra affair. They were selling arms to the IRGC in 1979, 1980. There's a
Arms.
public record.
Arms.
Weapons, yes, to the IRGC.
Well, right. IRGC
Right,
was buying weapons. They were not dealing drugs.
right. But they're connected with the drug trade. And this is what something that Ian Burlingham and Blaine Holt have told me about. But also the HSBC money laundering. That's a British bank. That's a City of London bank. Laundering drugs money and then using that money to supply weapons to the IRGC.
And there's just so much about
Okay,
this,
okay,
and
but
then all this offshore, and then there's
I
all the offshore banking stuff, and it's hideously complex. But yes,
I understand the CIA, I understand the HSBC, but I don't understand how that makes IRGC drug dealers.
Okay, so I've been informed by other guests on my channel about the IRGC being involved. Apparently, they're very big in Patagonia. They have lots of connections there. They have connections through the Lebanese banks and through the Lebanese diaspora, which is all over the place through their
You
ships.
talking about that Australian guy?
No, not the Australian guy. Ian Burlingham and Blaine, and retired General Blaine Holt. And this may be something for us to continue having the conversation because
right.
we're going to have to finish up now.
Yeah.
So,
I again, but this, let's just tie a bow around this. What's important is even if the relationship isn't, well documented, or even maybe even it doesn't even have to explicitly exist. It just has to create the enough of a pressure to put the situation. I like, to me, getting the British getting us to involved in a war with the Iranians when we don't have the weapon systems and the people. Remember, Iran has been building this. Again, I go back to the whole argument about Iran has been building a confrontation map in their head, strategy in their head for the eventual war with the United States since the early 2000s. Go back to the wargaming, scenario of how did the United States lose in the DoD wargaming? The guy ran a bunch of fast attack boats and drones and blew up all our aircraft carriers. That we were not in a position back in 2019 to fight that war, the war we just fought, in the way we just fought it. Trump did a lot of things in his first term, and he's talked about this explicitly, to ensure that we were capable of fighting this war this way, right? So we were not going to fight that war for them. So why would Britain want us to fight a war with Iran back in 2019? The war we would lose?
And not be involved now. That's it.
Right.
Not be involved now and actually be hostile to it. Why would they be hostile to the US attacking Israel's biggest, baddest enemy? That's a big tell for me anyway. Okay.
It was a big tell for me as well.
If you enjoyed this video, you can find the whole clip right here. And don't forget to sign up for my free newsletter. Links in the description below.